some of the most violent and disturbing cases I've seen on YouTube.
Jim, just take a look at your screen. This is 26-year-old Rodney Richardson. He's accused of meeting his victims on a popular dating app, Tinder, and doing horrible things to them.
The message to anybody doing online dating or using an app to buy or sell, first do it in a public place, have the meeting in a public place. Second thing is tell a friend, a family member, what times you're going to be meeting a person, where you're going to be meeting them, and even maybe offer the ability for them to track your phone while you are encountering another individual that you do not know.
We want to warn you, these details are disturbing. According to court documents, Richardson used the fake name Joe on Tinder. Back on February 2nd, a man picked up Richardson and drove him to Horseshoe Road in Brandywine, Maryland. A detective says they stepped out of the SUV to smoke weed and talk. Then shortly after, Richardson allegedly asked the victim for his cell phone. He complied. Then Richardson is accused of taking out a silver handgun, pointing it at him and demanding his wallet. Richardson asked the victim for his debit card PIN number, then drove off in his 2019 white Subaru Forester. Days later, on February 12th, Richardson met up with another man he met on Tinder outside a church before bringing him over to his house. Soon after, Richardson allegedly tied the victim's hands, told him to lay down in the trunk, and asked if he had AIDS before raping him at gunpoint. Legal filings say the attacker watched the man all night. The next day, Richardson allegedly forced the victim to drive him to his bank and take out $4,500. People who live in the area say this is disturbing.
It's awful, whether it's a man, raping another man or a man raping a woman. It's horrible. It's a scary place we live in now. It seems like we can't go anywhere without something happening.
Unfortunately, police do believe there are more victims out there. They understand people may be hesitant to come forward after experiencing a traumatic situation like this, but they would like to hear from you. Back to you.
New at 6, a Houston couple is in the Harris County Jail tonight accused of brutally beating and sexually assaulting a man for more than 20 minutes. This happened inside a North Harris County bar off of FM 1960 at Ella Boulevard at about 2 a.m. last week. David Gonzalez has more.
It's I would say the most savage beating I've ever witnessed.
Harris County DA's office Chief Prosecutor Chris Condon says that's the easiest way to describe what happened inside the Fountainhead Bar on February 17th. Condon says Felix Vale and Ariel Cordoba are each charged with aggravated robbery, aggravated assault, and aggravated sexual assault for attacking a male victim after briefly exchanging words with him.
They're talking to each other. At some point, there appears to be a bit of a verbal altercation. The suspects exit the bar.
Condon says the couple came back 10 minutes later.
From what we understand, they forced entry back into the bar and then began to assault the complainant with multiple instruments.
Condon says the victim was knocked unconscious within the first 5 seconds of the attack. For 22 minutes, he says Vale and Cordoba assaulted the victim with a gun and a bar stool. The victim was also robbed and sexually assaulted and suffered severe injuries. Condon says the attack lasted until authorities stopped them. The suspects are now behind bars. Their bonds are each set at $180,000 each.
82 years, that is how long Felix Vale will spend in prison for sexually assaulting a man inside of a Houston area bar. KPRC2's Devin Clark joining us live from downtown Houston tonight, where the Harris County District Attorney's Office, Devin, is speaking publicly about this case.
Daniela, prosecutors proved that brutal attack lasted longer than 20 minutes. It involved a beatdown with a bar stool, a gun, sodomy. One of the people involved handed down a hefty sentence today, a second soon to meet her fate.
There's just no motive that could explain the behavior of the defendants.
The details are chilling.
On the night of the freeze in Houston, when pipes were bursting and power was out at the Fountainhead Bar off of Ella 1960, Our victim and other friends in the bar were attacked.
The culprits, Felix Valle and Ariel Cordoba, a couple who tried to convince the victim to pay for sex with Cordoba, but he refused.
They broke items on him, used a gun, shots were fired, and he sustained serious life-threatening injuries.
It was a prolonged attack that lasted more than 20 minutes before officials arrived and arrested the couple.
The bar stool was used because it was broken over the head of the victim as he's there unconscious on the floor. He was nearly kicked to death.
While the victim was unconscious, Valle, who has a lengthy violent criminal history, also sodomized him.
A house of secrets and abuse. In August, Oklahoma City police got a tip that a man had multiple children with his stepdaughter. That report would unravel a family and shake an entire community.
Inside this North Harris County home, Precinct 4 constable deputies say 31-year-old Jose Reyes and 29-year-old Jacqueline Macias have held an 18-year-old woman chained and zip-tied against her will for the last month.
She was forced into a bedroom and her hands and feet were bound by the defendants.
The victim lived in Pasadena and Reyes allegedly lured her to the home about 30 miles away. Investigators say that was under the guise of furthering a relationship with him, but once she realized he was in a relationship with another woman and tried to leave,
she was kept chained up and locked in the room for approximately 30 days and sexually assaulted.
Overnight, after the suspects left her alone for a few minutes, she climbed out a bedroom window and ran to get help from neighbors.
And she did everything in her that she could, all her fibers she could bring to her strength to get out of her restraints. Just a very, very evil thing.
Both are now charged with kidnapping. Investigators searched the home for evidence Monday afternoon. During their first court appearances, a hearing officer set his bond at $100,000, hers at $50,000. Her public defender also revealed this.
The 2-week-old child that she has at home is actually also the co-defendant's child.
Both are due back in court tomorrow, and pending medical testing, more charges are possible. The victim went to the hospital and has now been reunited with her family.
Now, an apology in court from a man pleading guilty to rape. The 20-year-old victim, or the 20-year-old told his victims, quote, "My bad." News Since 4, we are hearing from one of those victims on the stand and more about that apology from Channel 2's Wendy Corona. Wendy's live outside the Fulton County Courthouse.
Well, that guy apologized twice, and perhaps not as heartfelt as some would have hoped to hear, but an apology nonetheless. 20-year-old Terry Young was taken away in handcuffs to serve life in prison plus 5 years for numerous charges that included aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and even 2 counts of rape.
It was belated, but I'm glad that you accepted responsibility. It did prevent other witnesses from having to come forward and relive the nightmare again.
The trial of 20-year-old Terry Young ended just hours after it began. The jury heard opening statements and testimony from one victim before they broke for lunch. Just hours into what was slated to be a 7-day trial, it ended.
Being 20 years old, I want to be a man and take responsibility for my actions.
Actions that authorities say terrorized an East Point townhome community that included rapes, armed robberies, kidnapping, and aggravated assaults in September 2015. One victim described seeing Young when he entered her family's home.
This young man coming through the door for the gun. I said, "Oh my God, it's a robber."
Judge Kelly Lee Ellerby thanked the victims for participating in their case and ultimately helping bring justice. Young's defense attorney argued for leniency in sentencing, stating that Young had been on his own from the age of 15 and made stupid mistakes as a result. But even Young, facing several counts of life in prison, in the end didn't cry, took responsibility, and apologized.
I'm gonna stand tall, keep my head up, and just say sorry again, y'all. My bad.
Moments later,
what is your plea?
Young is basically eligible for parole after 35 years. Now, as for the victims that were in the courtroom, they did not want to talk on camera, but I could see at least a sense of relief in their body posture, and a couple of them even smiled afterward. For now, we're live.
They all got what they deserve, man. Sick mother. Like, comment, subscribe. Till next time. Salute everybody. Don't be weird like them.